Let's see. Today's Thursday. It's 11:02. I think this is the last show of the week.
Yeah, I mean, depending on how you look at the calendar, but yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay. All right. Let me see if we can get the music on today and set
You
the
got
mood.
music?
We got music. Well,
We setting the mood.
we always have
Okay.
music, so it's just it is what
I mean,
it
it
is.
is the beat down. I mean,
It
it's
is the beat.
you know,
Right, exactly. And since we can't really pummel anybody, because we're social distancing, we got to do the beat down with music. Because pummeling plus that would probably put us in danger of getting arrested and shot.
See,
Shot dead with a taser. So
yeah.
So
Things escalate real quick around here.
real quick. Welcome to Tampa. I mean, that could be just America. We're not going to single out Tampa and all that. But, look, we got to keep the fans we got. We can't lose anymore.
Okay.
So I guess we'll get into the intro, and we'll be right back on the other side with possibly a show.
Or something like it.
Something like it. All right, y'all.
Introduce you to the greatest combat sports show bar none. You are now in the beatdown.
You wanna get beat down?
Let us now introduce you to your host, the Badger, and
Welcome everybody to the beatdown. It's Thursday, as we said. We're going to give y'all a good show. I'm trying to get... I didn't realize 1FC was going to be on every Wednesday night at 10 on TNT. But it was on last night. There was also a title fight. And two women that kind of went at it like... I don't want to use any references. They're going to get us in trouble.
But just say they had a good fight. They went in there, it was a war.
They had a good fight for a minute and 13 seconds.
There you go.
And
there you go.
Yeah, it was actually no. That was the title fight. That was a minute and 13 seconds. Between Christian Lee defeated boy, this sounds like a black name, but it's not. Timothy Nastyukim.
But they spell it a different over there.
Yeah. So but Timothy, that's anyway. I ain't gonna get into that. But it was a good fight while it lasted. It was at 155 pounds. A minute and 13 seconds doesn't seem like it could be a good fight, and it was TKO due to strikes. So yeah, it was as they say, it was what it was. If you all didn't get a chance to see it, sorry. I didn't even realize it was on. I just happened to be watching AEW, and it came on right after AEW. So,
okay. Well, listen, man. Let's segue right off the bat, man. You talked about that first round fight between those two ladies for the ONE FC Championship last night. You said it was a pretty good fight while it lasted. Is that correct?
Well, that first round was I was wrong. The first round was the men in the title fight.
Okay, so which fight lasted a minute and 38 seconds? Or
the title fight, the men, the main event.
Okay,
yeah. Minute and 13 seconds.
Was it minute 13? Was it good? Like, did you watch it? You like, okay, these boys really, did it get you?
Yeah,
did it get you hype?
It was good until it wasn't. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Was as good as the one that happened in 1984 though? This date. Like 25 years ago, wasn't as good as that one, because that's what we really should be talking about right now. I want to get the guys that won championship or ONE FC or whatever. Let's give them credit. Great fighters. Kick my butt. But that ain't the round one we want to talk about. This round one back in 1984 though.
Is this the one
Come on
between
now.
the bald head guy and the
Come
tall
on
guy
now.
from Detroit?
Come on, guys. Yeah. A
Yeah.
little dry, kind of
Yeah.
correct, straighten out. Yeah, let's talk about that, man.
Let's go.
Let's talk about
Because no, this fight was nothing like that. Go ahead.
that. Bro, if y'all know we talk about Fight at Your Nation, we are talking about the greatest round one, the greatest probably one round in all of boxing is Tommy the Hitman Hearns against Marvin Hagler on this day in 1984. It lasted around roughly, and that's when it ended. But bro, take me back to your thoughts about this fight, bro. I mean, because you're a little bit older than me,
Listen.
so you remember it with a different set of eyes. I don't even really remember it because I wasn't quite old enough to. But bro, as watching it from being young and then continuing watching it over the years, it's one of the greatest sports highlights ever. So
I
what was it
saw.
like for you, man?
I didn't get to see it live because it wasn't on
okay.
regular TV.
Okay.
But I did get to see the replay. I think it was on Wide World of Sports that next weekend. It was amazing because you heard about it the next day. You heard about it because everybody knew somebody that knew something about it. But it was just not everybody could see it. Not everybody could see it. But
That's why it's the beatdown.
right, but you heard about it, and it was just like they talked about it on the news, and like I was 12, or going on 12, and I was still 11 going on 12, and to hear about that, it was phenomenal, bro, because everybody at school had a different version.
Oh yeah, school stories are the best, right? School. All right, but go ahead, give us something. I know yours is gonna be pretty good.
So to finally actually see it, and it was like, you think it's just a round. Why?
Right.
What about the rest of it? What? We finally saw it. My grandparents had a floor model TV. And I was laying on the floor. My mom was in one chair. Grandmother was in another chair. My grandfather was in his rocking chair by the big bay window. And you're watching this going, wow, did this really happen?
Right.
And it would make a boxing fan out of you.
Yeah.
Or if you were squeamish, it would push you away from the sport. It was just that impactful of a round.
And here's the thing, bro. This happened when all great things boxing happened. This was the 80s, man. The 70s into the 80s into the early 90s was boxing's heyday. And you had two of the best in all of the sport going at it. My only question to you is, bro, has there been a more humorous knockout that you've ever seen? And that's with all due respect to Tommy Hearns, who's one of the greatest fighters ever. And two, why did you think Tommy fought that fight the way he did? Because it didn't make sense. It still doesn't make sense to me to this day.
Okay. Let's look at it for what it is. I was a Marvin Hagler fan. I mean, almost a fiend. I loved Marvelous Marvin Hagler. I don't know what it was. I think he just reminded me of the tough dudes from the block with the goatee and the bald head. And he always spoke his mind. He didn't, ramble. He didn't mince words. He just said what he had to say, and that was it.
Yeah.
He just reminded me of them dudes I knew. And I'm gonna use a place. People don't go there that much anymore. They do still in parts of Maryland, but not really down here as much. He reminded me of the dudes that I used to see going in and out of the VFW.
Or the Legion, the American
Or
Legion.
the American Legion, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
With the white suit on and the black shirt and the white tie and the white hat with the But
And
that's
one thing about those guys is the Young Bucks didn't try 'em. Okay, go ahead.
exactly.
Zach, put it in there. Go ahead.
Their reputation really came well before they got there. Yeah. Getting out of the old white Cadillac. Yeah. With the gangster wall tie. Yeah. These are the guys he reminded me of. And when I would see him fight, he was so methodical in there. He was faster than most people thought he was, and he was stronger than most people thought he was. He was just this consummate professional. I mean, you didn't think of Brockton, Massachusetts as being a fight factory, but Marvin Hagler was just something special. And yes, I have seen a more humorous knockout, and this is going to sound so horrible. But two of them, when Oliver McCall caught Lennox Lewis, and when what's the dude's name? They just started laughing. What is his name? And
Yeah, wow, I
crying.
forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I mean,
remember that.
it's not shouldn't be funny to say somebody had a breakdown in the ring, but it was funny to me. All that name's going. I'm gonna have to remember his name. I saw that on HBO. That thing. Nobody knew what to say when they were calling that fight. Nobody knew what to say. Just what's wrong with him? I don't know. Because it was on HBO. They couldn't go to commercial. There was nothing they could do. But, yeah, but that Hearns Hagler fight, bro. That was the fight to me. That was the fight. That it just showed how Marvin Hagler took a beating in the very beginning of the round, and they said, "Oh, Hearns has got him." And I think Hearns fought. To answer your question, I think Hearns fought it that way because of Hagler's reputation. And do you really want to try to dance around and box with this guy for 15 rounds? Remember, it was 15 rounds in. Do you want to dance around and box with this guy for 15 rounds? Or do you want to go in there and show that you from Detroit, man? You got as much grit and toughness as he does, if not more. You from the Motor City, Kronk Gym. I don't agree with how he did it, but it was sure entertaining.
Yeah, I always thought, I was like, man, out of all the fights, why would he fight this guy that way? And I'm sure looking in hindsight, he probably wouldn't do it that way again. But listen, yeah.
Remember, he jumped on him early, too. He jumped on Hagler early and hurt him.
It hurt him, yeah.
So I'm thinking in his mind, I got to get him out. I got him. I got to get him. Well, then Hagler came back, and he didn't give Hearns a chance to regroup when he came back.
Yeah. Yeah, and to honestly, it almost like Hearns kind of spin his load there too a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, Marvin Hagler. We're not gonna get too far into that because we covered him and we can always talk about it. But yeah, he was a great fighter. But more importantly, man, he's doing somebody that just was fundamentally good. And check this out: what people don't understand about Hagler was, I think Hagler hit literally equally hard with both hands.
Yeah.
His left hand was his devastating punch, but I watched him walk guys into that right hook, and they go out. They go out. So I think, people was afraid of that left, but if you walk back and watch that fight, he hurt Tommy with a right, bro. I was like, ooh. Yeah. That was one thing too. Hagler had the best poker face. The best poker face. We think, Triple G has a great poker face. Marvin Hagler had a great poker face, bro. Because I was going to get hit with some shit for some guys that have knocked other greats out. And it was just like, okay, now I'm going to hit you back. And see how you take that. So
it was a different era, bro. It was a different era.
The two baddest men on the planet, two of the baddest men on the planet at the time. Was a great fight. One of the greatest things in sports history. When you start talking about great moments in sports history, you talk about Cale Yarborough in the Daytona 500. You talk about Secretary. You talk about Tiger Woods and the Masters and Arnold Palmer. You talk about Jack Nicklaus. You talk about Serena in tennis and all the Tom Brady and the great Steeler moments and Cowboy moments in football and Jordan in basketball. We're not boxing. This is that moment. You got Ali, right? Over Liston. And then you got
Ali over Foreman. Yeah. And then you got
those are your moments, right? So I didn't want to let this show go by without actually talking about that as one of the greatest sports moments, but definitely probably the greatest boxing moment, bro, in a round. So, yeah, just want to throw it out there, brother.
I love that fight. When I look back on it, I love that fight. I tell you a fight they showed, I saw it on YouTube not too long ago, and I couldn't watch it, the replay all the way to the end because I knew how it ended. Was Ray Boom Boom Mancini against Kim. I can't remember Kim's first name.
Yeah, the Korean guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I asked the question, why did they drop the rounds to 12? Did that really make a difference?
I think you just go with what appears to make the most common sense, right? Kind of like in football when they try to limit the places you can hit someone, right? Though it's gonna happen. At some point, it's going to happen, right? You and I played that game for a long time, and every year it happened to some unfortunate person.
Yeah.
Sometimes it wasn't as bad. Sometimes they would get their feeling back. They'd be able to walk again. But sometimes they didn't, and it's part of it. them trying to do that in football is the equivalent of what they're doing in boxing. Same thing with the Hans device in NASCAR. You try to make these things as safe as possible, bro. But you and I know at some point it's by the nature of what you're doing, it's just gonna happen.
Yeah.
And I think they were just trying to do their best.
I mean, you think about the things that happened during that time, lowering it to 12 rounds, championship fights to 12 rounds.
Gloves.
The Sugar Ray gloves. Yeah, taking the thumb off, put the thumb connected to the gloves because he damaged his retina. That one I thought was a good move.
Next day weigh-ins.
Yeah. See, that one always puzzled me because coming from a wrestling background, you weigh in that day. You don't
Amateur boxing.
Yeah, you don't get a chance to weigh in the day before and rehydrate.
Yeah.
And I think boxing should be the same way. We weigh in the day of the fight.
The only reason why I disagree with you there is because wrestling, although it's one of the toughest things I've ever tried to do, doesn't usually result in death. With boxing, what the science does says that the longer you get to hydrate, it puts more fluid back around the brain. And I think that alone is enough to say, you know what, all right, let's let them win the next day. They making weight, they doing all this.
Well,
just
at
for the
least
safety of the sport.
At least give them I mean, some organizations or some states have a rehydrate clause to where you can't go more than 10 pounds. I think that should be across the board.
Bro, the sport could definitely be better. And I think that's something that they could also do. Make all championship fights with rehydration clause. And, because that is advantageous for some people. But maybe that's something they'll do later on down the line. Bro, I got to get your thoughts on this because it kind of segues in a way. I don't know if you saw the breaking news, but your homie, Mark Feldman, the guy that you like, the BKFC guy. Bro, bare knuckle is about to implement a fighter pension starting after this card in Alabama this weekend, bro.
I like it.
Is this a sign of things to come, or has bare knuckle really done something to separate themselves from the pack? And now we might see some of these guys with a little bit of starlight left in their career say, you know what? Maybe I should go over here.
Easy.
What you think, bro?
I think that's why it's done. You just named it. Because, boxing, you got to start your own pension. You got to put your own things together. And that's what you and I were trying to educate people on. And I think the BKFC guys and women, even though they're going to implement a pension, pensions sound better than they are. They always sound better than they are. But I like the thought behind it. At least, making the fighters seem like they're an integral part of the organization. But I'm sure you got to take a certain number of fights and this and that before you get it.
Well, here's the thing. When you get a chance, check out the article on MMA Junkie in the interview there. One thing that I did like about what he was saying, bro, was he didn't come out and say, hey, I'm not saying this is going to make them rich. I'm not saying that they're going to stop working their entire lives once this is done. But if I can help them put aside $30, $40, maybe $50,000, when their fighting days are done, that's enough money to secure them for a while or to help them segue into their next career, whatever it is. Maybe it's starting a business, maybe it's opening a gym, whatever it is. Bro, I like it. Like you said, I like the face value of it. I like what he's trying to do. I want to learn more about the details of it. But even brokering this conversation and putting something out there, bro, to me, Feldman's got it. You do know that Feldman actually comes from a boxing background. His dad was a big time promoter back in the day too. So
yeah,
this is interesting, bro. This is a guy I think kind of, he understands the business. I think he definitely understands who his fan base is, but more importantly, he definitely knows how to placate to fighters. And there's a lot of fighters out there now, bro. And thanks to social media, it's easy to connect people. They have to walk away from the sport at 35, 30, 40 years old. Bro, They might have a few fights left in them. I like this for BKFC, bro. The league is growing on me. I'm still saying that I still inherently don't like what they do. I have close ties with someone that's a part of that organization. But, bro, this is pretty good. I like this. I think this is positive.
I'm going to have to agree with you. I feel the same way. I mean, like I said, I like the look of it. I will have to look at that article to find out, everything that's attached to it. Hopefully it's pretty, everything's pretty clear. But beyond that, I like it. I like the thought process.
And it says a lot to him about him, bro, because why hasn't nobody else had this conversation? Dana White hasn't mentioned it ever. Scott Coker, ever. Top Rank, Golden Boy, DAZN, Matchroom Boxing, PBC. Nobody's ever mentioned it. But now, pause. Because we've talked.
You said PBC? Now you said PBC.
I did. And I mean PBC as a whole because I think boxing as a whole needs to do this. But we also know that for the guys that Al likes, the guys that win for Al, the guys that help keep PBC afloat and sell tickets for Al, we know those guys have retirements, right? We've had guys that have fought for PBC on this show that say, hey, man, I know a lot of guys that they don't like Al, that's because they don't talk to Al. They ain't at that level yet. But for everybody that deal directly with Al, we love Al. Al tells us how to how to invest our money. He's a what? He is a consultant.
Yes.
And he consults these young men in and out of the ring. And bro, he's helping to make some great investments. We follow these guys on social media. These guys are living large, hound the hog, as they say. So Al has a little bit of something going on there. But yeah, league-wide, no, PBC is not anywhere close to that. So yes, I meant what I said about PBC as a brand. But yeah, I think Mark Feldman's on to something, bro.
I like it. I really do. I like the opportunity that it could present. Like you said, if somebody's able to put away 50,000, it won't take you far, but it'll take you farther than most boxers leave the game with. And even if you took 20% of your purse and put it away for retirement, yeah, you're not going to get the Rolls Royce on the front end, but you won't be out there, taking jobs on the back end.
Yeah, walking. Yeah.
Walking, yeah. So ain't nothing wrong with catching the bus. I got my bus pass. But
ain't nothing wrong with it.
But if you have an option, I would take the other option. I would take the other option. So yeah. I like it. I mean, I like it. I honestly believe that it's time for the people who control boxing to step up and have the fighter's best interest at heart. But you look at the history of boxing, and when you look at MMA, it follows the same history. It came out of the slave masters needing entertainment. That's what it came out of. So the sport was not designed for the boxers to make anything. So when you follow that same model coming down the pipe, you can understand why, realistically, most promoters, even though they say, oh man, I love these guys. Really? But they follow the standard dialogue and the standard bylaws that they got it from. And it's a whole mindset. So you're going to have somebody who is not buying into the current model, which has been around for hundreds of years, or at least 120, 130 years. You're going to have to find somebody who loves the sport, maybe participated in it or maybe not, but loves the sport, but wants to see it reformed. That's going to be the person that's going to have to rise up. And I'm not saying, I'm using as an example of a Triller. You need somebody of that magnitude, of a Tony Khan with AEW, someone of that magnitude who would stand up and say, we need to do things different, and my organization is going to do things completely different, but on a big scale. I love Bare Knuckle FC, but it's going to take somebody like an Al Heyman to step out and say, you know what? No matter what level you are, I'm holding a symposium. You all are required to come see it if you're fighting under the PBC brand. That would truly trigger a change in the sport. Because if I'm on the fence, if I'm fighting for Bob Arum, if I'm fighting for Oscar De La Hoya, or if I'm fighting for Matchroom DAZN, and I hear about these fighters for PBC getting it's mandatory that 20% of their purse goes into an insurance policy or a quote unquote a pension, and they're going to come out of the sport better than when they went in, I think that would cause me to want to go over there, which may cause a Bob Arum but not Bob. Bob's too old to change. Maybe a Matchroom DAZN to say, they've got something here. Let's do something for our fighters the same way. I'm off my soapbox.
No, that's game, bro. That's game. Maybe hashtag watch the pod. Listen, we got a plethora of
Ooh.
fairly decent fights coming up this weekend, bro. One we keep neglecting, and I don't know why you do this. I'll make sure I apologize for you. Brian Perella, Tony Harrison's
No, no,
going
no,
down
no, no.
Saturday, bro.
We talked about. Oh, you weren't here. We talked about it.
Oh, okay. Well, my apologies to you,
Hashtag watch the
bro.
pod.
Hashtag watch the pod, damn it. Bro, what you think about the fight, bro? Let's be real.
I
Let's talk about it.
love it. I love it. One, because Bryant Perella is gonna punch your body from bell to bell. He's gonna move. He's gonna be active, and I love it because Tony Harrison. We don't know which Tony Harrison is gonna show up because Tony been through a lot. But if the Tony Harrison we look for shows up, that fight's gonna be. I think it's gonna be action packed because we know Harrison stood in the pocket against Charlo for 11 plus rounds, so they ran out of gas. I don't see Perella hitting like Charlo, but I think Perella can be more accurate than Charlo when he's throwing power punches. So I like the fight. I can't wait. It's gonna be one of those where I got this new recipe for vegan hamburger helper, and yes, it's hamburger helper or hamburger helper macaroni and cheese, but it's vegan. So I'm gonna make a pot of that and a picture of libation, and I'm gonna sit there and watch that one.
Bro, that sounds like a plan. Maybe I can do something similar. Probably not as luxurious and as fancy as what you gonna do. Maybe water with a lemon. I'm definitely tuning in though, bro. I have some feelings about this fight. I'm gonna put them out there for everybody to hear. I am rooting for Brian Perella. Okay, I'm gonna say it because on this show, unless my partner decides he wants to turn over and change his coach stripes, it's Florida first here when it comes to fighters.
No,
So
it's
yes,
never
I'm
been
pulling
Florida
for
first
Brian.
when it comes to me.
I'm
I just
pulling-
like Brian Perella.
I'm pulling for Brian Perella. Now, with that being said, it's going to be a tall task. Because when we talk about the best boxer in the 154-pound division, I think there's one guy that most people would probably say who is the best pure boxer. That's probably Tony Harrison, bro. So we know what he's going to do. I've listened to a few interviews that Tony's done. He's not done a lot. I think he's, matter of fact, I've only seen two that he's done before coming up to this fight. He talks about losing his pops. He talks about the loss of Charlo. He talks about just trying to keep his gym afloat and during COVID-19 and everything he's doing for the kids in the Detroit community because he is a real pillar in that community. His brother would now be his head trainer, LJ Harrison. So this is going to be interesting. Lil Bro learning from Pops. Pops is no longer here, so now Lil Bro steps in and will act as the head trainer here. This is the perfect fight for Tony Harrison. I say that loosely because Brian Perella hadn't looked great his last couple fights. He definitely looked good in his last fight, and we know that was primarily attributed to Perella cutting too much weight. We bring Brian Perella on a few different occasions. Brian is a big kid. Yeah. Brian is a big 147-pounder.
Yeah.
And the fact he could still suck down and make that weight for as long as he did was a testament to him. Well, those days are done now. So now he'll be fighting at 154. Maybe Brian Perella, who was always a decent puncher at 147, maybe he's a decent puncher at 54 because sometimes you don't have to shed as much weight.
You can let your power grow.
You get to kind of be closer to your natural rate. Mm-hmm. That translates into a little more strength. Maybe that's the case with Perella. That's what he would need to win this fight because he's not going to outbox Tony Harrison. Tony Harrison has 3 losses. All 3 losses, four losses. No, 3. I'm sorry, 3. 3 losses, all 3 losses in the same fashion. The verdict is out on how to beat Tony Harrison. Brian Perella, follow the blueprint. It's there for you if you can do it. But if you can't keep up, or if you end up following behind Tony Harrison, it's going to be a long night. And Tony Harrison, we've seen him stop guys before by just an accumulation of punches. Just round by round, he's getting constantly outboxed, and it takes away from you. So yeah, it's a great fight. Like you said, styles make fights. I see this as being a very interesting one. Hey, and let's be honest, bro, it's do or die for Brian Perella. If Perella loses this fight, I don't know if he has another fight under the PBC banner. I really don't.
Here's why I don't think it's do or die. Because he made the smart decision to go up to 54. Brian Perella is a good draw. Brian Perella is a good fighter. he's not just potential. He's shown you that he can be a good fighter. So I do think if he loses to Harrison, a not too recent world champion at 54, it doesn't push him out of the organization. It pushes him down the food chain. He's going to have to fight some guys he shouldn't have to fight to get back. But I don't think this is that door closing fight. Maybe losing to somebody at a lower echelon than Tony Harrison, yes. But I don't think losing to Tony Harrison does it for Brian Perella in PBC.
All right, fair enough. We will see. Keep in mind, Perella's the one coming up from a business standpoint. If you really thought it was an investment, you throw him in there, one of the best fighters in the division he's moving up to. I would think that if they were kind of looking at Perella long term, they were kind of giving it with somebody just somebody to give him a good work at 154. They're matching him to get beat. This isn't a fight he's supposed to win.
Right,
so
he's a contender.
This is going to be. No,
not a contender. He's an opponent. He's an opponent.
Yeah, he's the big side. Yep, he is indeed. So moving along, bro, we got a UFC fight coming up this weekend. A couple. Yeah. We can talk about both of them. How you want to start this dance off, my friend?
We do have a couple because we got. When you say UFC, we got Bellator as well.
Bellator, and I think I meant to say MMA. I'm sorry, that was a Freudian slip. MMA fights this weekend. Bellator Friday and the UFC on Saturday.
All right, Mr. Freud. Wait up one moment. I'll hopefully pull my information up. This is crazy. I know Bellator, the tournament continues on Friday. There we go. So we might as well start Bellator 257. Listen, I know we've talked about this. Vadim Nemkov versus Phil Davis. I think that's going to be a good fight. But looking at that, we have a Julia Budd sighting. Julia Budd versus Dana Silva. You remember Julia Budd from UFC?
Mm-hmm.
I figured you would because, it sounds like the cabbage.
Exactly. And that's the same thing you said. We brought it up early in the week.
Yes.
Or on Sunday, whatever day that was.
Well, that's how I kind of bring it back to you.
Gotcha.
That to me is going to be good. That's going to be very good. We have two women fighting on that card. And I know people are like, why you keep bringing up the women? Because they don't get enough shine. And they work just as hard, if not harder, than the men. That one's going to be the second fight on the card. And then we also have Vita Ortega versus Desiree Yanez. Desiree Yanez. Where have we heard that name before?
I don't think this related to the ones that we know.
I thought she fought on the Jeremy card that was at the convention center that time.
Could have been. I don't really remember, but it could have been.
But this is the one you wanted before. Corey Anderson. Remember you were asking where Corey Anderson was?
Yeah.
This is the card Corey Anderson's on. Yeah. Yeah. So I think, this is going to be a good fight. And it's on Showtime, people. It's on Showtime. So don't miss 9 p.m. If you need to, take a nap. Wake up, watch it. It's gonna be a good card. Now let's get to your favorite, UFC, because that's your home. Robert Whittaker, Kevin Gastelum.
Yep. That's gonna be I hope it's a good competitive fight. I think if Kevin Gastelum comes in as a Kevin Gastelum, we know it's gonna be a good one. Because we know Robert Whittaker's gonna come in and do what Robert Whittaker does. But I don't know, man. I like Gastelum's tenacity, bro. I really do. And he's got a little chip on his shoulder, as he should.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that'd be a pretty good fight, bro.
Well, look, here's a fight on the card I'm ashamed of you for not bringing up. I really am. Especially since you talked about how Lyoto the Dragon Machida needed to retire, and you were harping on that so bad. Your homie, Andre Arlovsky.
The 35th? Yeah, wow. Talk about it, bro. Talk about it.
It's going to be on this card. I'm like, what? Chase Sherman.
Why?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was my only question. Why in the world would you have Andre Arlovsky? And he always looks good for the first minute.
Listen, the fact of the matter is we have to give people their flowers while they're still here. And because no one's probably ever going to talk about Arlovsky once he retires, we might as well keep him in the spotlight as long as we can, right?
Listen, that's a bunch of BS. Go ahead.
I'm just trying to make it make sense for somebody because it don't make sense for me. But
Okay.
hey man, listen, 35th 35th MMA fight, bro. That is quite the lineage of fighting. I, for one, will be watching just to see how this one ends, because the last time we saw him, it did not end well for him, did it not?
No, it didn't.
Okay.
But he beats the people that you just know are going to beat him. That's the weird thing. Like, he loses the guys that he has a shot at beating. He loses to them. But it's always when you like, man, why is this guy still fighting? He comes out and gets a win. It's like, how? I mean, you could time his kicks on a sundial. But he'll land that head kick still. I'm like, I know he's big. He's tall. He's got a reach. But come on, dog. Come on, dog. I remember Arlovsky fighting like in 2008. He was fighting back in the era with Randy Couture and Tim Sylvia. Like, come on. You were the pit bull now. Now you're just the bull, the pit. Just. But, you know, I guess if you keep using just for men and you stay in shape, they'll keep putting you in there.
Clearly. But yeah, I did see that, bro. That's when you said I knew exactly where you're going with it. But yeah, I mean, hey, man, why not? I guess.
Come on, dog. You wasn't saying that with Lyoto Machida. You were not saying that with Lyoto
Machida. Listen, what messed me up with Machida is I actually watched the fight in real time, and I was like, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Watch this one in real time.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, and I'm pretty sure I feel the same way. Definitely.
But I'm serious. He will fool you for the first minute or two, because people still, the last thing to go on a fighter is what? Power, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay,
well, that
so
never really leaves, really.
Right. So
Most
people don't want to get hit when he still has energy. So he looks good the first 1 to 2 minutes of the fight. Then when they're like, man, let's just try this. Then he'll miss the first couple and then he slows down. So then you're like, oh yeah, you should have been gone. But hey, I mean, it seems like as popular as he is, he would have done movies or something. I would love to get him on for an interview just to ask, why has your star not risen outside of the sport?
Yeah, because he done gave enough and took enough. So
I remember when he was the champion. And they figured he was going to be the champion for a long time, and then he wasn't. It's just like,
and look, it's the same thing we see in basketball and baseball and football, bro. These guys just love it. He just loves to fight because we know he ain't fighting for the money. He is not fighting for the money. He is just
hope not.
He's just fighting. He likes it.
His wife said that's something to get him out the house. Don't beat on me. Go beat on that bag. Okay.
And she's okay with it, bro. Before we get up out of here, got to fight this weekend, man. Andre Williams, a lot of chatter and trash talk going back and forth, bro. Andre saying he's gonna make Williams eat his words, and Williams ain't gonna knock him out. Like, I'm just gonna spark him out. So, bro, how do you see this?
We'll see. That's all I can say on that. We'll see. I mean, I like Andre. How many times has Andre been knocked out?
Ever.
Yeah. So Williams has to have something to say. And it's easy to say that I'm gonna knock his spark out. And then Sunday morning, when you're sitting there with the L, what happened? It was, things did not go the way I thought they were gonna go. So it was next time.
That was actually pretty good. You sound real drunk and British. I like that, bro.
There's no difference, bro. When it's a British fighter, there's no difference. They sound, even the women sound that way when they're after a fight.
Come on. Listen, segueing off of combat sports before we get up against it, bro. Julian Edelman to the Hall of Fame. Are you buying that argument at all, bro?
How do you deny it?
Well, he doesn't have any Pro Bowls for one.
He should.
He doesn't.
If you watched him play, anytime they needed yards, anytime they needed a first down, he wasn't faster than anybody, taller than anybody, stronger than anybody, but he was always complete to Edelman. It was just injuries caught up with him, but he's got rings to back it up. I like Edelman. I didn't like him when he played. I didn't like his team, but I look at it for what it is. Julian Edelman was a problem that nobody really had an answer for. So,
well, yeah, when you look at his numbers, postseason numbers, he looks like one of the greatest receivers to ever do it, but never really produced in the regular season. Never made a Pro Bowl.
And that's
I just don't know how you put him in there ahead of guys like Anquan Bolden and Steve Smith and Brandon Marshall and all those other guys that Julio Jones, all those other guys that came in, that were playing around from 2008 to 2018, like that 10-year gap, because Edelman came in 2009 or something like that. So all the guys that played with him, so a lot of those greats ain't in there. I just don't know how he beats any of those other guys.
Listen,
Arnold Driver. It's going to be hard to get in front of those guys.
Brandon Marshall had, unfortunately, I don't know how the writers are going to take to him. Exceptional talent on the field, but he didn't get a lot of love off the field for issues that he had. I would say he should be in. Steve Smith, definitely, because he was the only receiver Carolina had.
After Mushir Muhammad, yep.
Yeah. Well, you know what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So I just
Anquan Bolden, bro, it's a lot of guys.
Anquan Bolden played for a while.
Yeah, and you talk about Hines Ward, bro. It's a lot of guys. I don't see how he gets in ahead of any of those guys.
Hines, but he shouldn't be. He shouldn't even be on their ballot, bro.
Bro, I know. I just brought it up because that's what people are saying, because his postseason numbers are so good. Julian Edelman is I think he's number 2 behind Jerry Rice in touchdowns and yards in postseason, but that's because he played in every postseason.
Right.
He played for a dynasty, so you can't deny it. And when they needed plays, he stepped up. He was that guy. So, but you can't, nah.
But what I'm saying is, when you said Hines Ward, he's not even on their same ballot. He's not on. Anquan Bolden didn't just retire, so he's not even going to be on the same ballot with them. I wouldn't compare him to them for that reason. Compare him to his class, the people that are going to be nominated that year. I don't believe he should go in over those guys. You're right. Honestly, who was it that they said just went in? Was it Drew Pearson?
Yep.
And I'm like, how was Drew not in the Hall of Fame in the 80s?
But this is what I'm saying, bro. And what makes the NFL Hall of Fame process so difficult is because there's always a logjam of guys. Because you got the first ballot guys that for sure are going to get in, right? But then you got a whole bunch of guys that were great, and you have to try to figure out when and how they're going to go in.
And then you got a whole bunch of guys who were good, who the sports writers really love, who they slide in. Because you can't tell me Drew Pearson, who played for the team I despised, the Cowboys.
Made 88. Was 88 before Irvin. He made Irvin get 88.
Yeah.
He set the standard.
How does he not go in the first ballot? Seriously.
Bro, listen, we don't have enough time. Maybe we can do it on another show when we kind of move around from combat sports a little bit. But bro, we can go down the list. You'll be shocked at how many great wide receivers are still waiting, bro. So if Julian Edelman ever gets in, it won't be anytime soon. I assure you that. I don't care when this ballot is. There's no way. But we shall see.
It's the Brady effect.
It's hard. It's hard to get in with no Pro Bowls.
It's the Brady effect.
Hard to do.
And I don't know, and I get that. I don't know how this man has not made one Pro Bowl, bro. Not
because
one.
There were always two receivers that were better than him. That's why. Yeah. That's because there were always 2 or 3 guys from that conference that were just better.
Even in the regular season, when I'd watched Patriot games, when they needed that catch, Edelman got him.
Oh yeah, bro.
So,
listen, you can't deny his clutchness. He's clutch. He's definitely clutch. You gotta look at him almost. Well, no, you can't because basketball is different. But he's kind of like Robert Horry, bro, in the sense that nobody really paid attention to him in the regular season, especially not after he left Houston. But then all of a sudden the playoffs come, it's like, who is this guy? Why can't you guard him? Why is he making all these big shots in these big moments? Some people just have that clutch gene. I think that may be more who Julian Edelman is. But unfortunately, it's not basketball, so I don't think it's enough to get him in. But we'll see, bro.
You brought up Horry. Interesting. Horry got 2 rings with the Rockets, right?
Mm-hmm.
Got 3 with the Lakers.
Mm-hmm.
How many did he get with San Antonio? 2 or 3?
I think he got 2 with the Spurs.
This man has 7 rings.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Yep. And he earned every one of them.
Every one of them. Every one of them.
I mean, the football season is different, the regular season and the postseason, because you only have 16 games. Basketball, you got 82 games.
A
So
whole lot of them. Yeah.
it is with the postseason when it really counts for superstardom. But he just showed up. I couldn't stand him when he played for the Spurs or the Rockets. He was
Big
all
shot
right.
Bob, baby.
He was all right with the Lakers, but
Big shot Bob.
I always admired his tenacity, and I'm like,
Oh yeah.
7 rings. That's phenomenal. I don't care how you look at it. That's phenomenal.
Nope.
Now,
Shout out to his agent. For
Yeah.
getting in all those right positions too.
now, what I do want to ask you before we get off of this subject and out of here, do you think LeBron's gonna get 6?
Yeah, I do. I think him and Anthony Davis was just too good. And let me back that up. I think they get there, but can they beat Brooklyn? I don't know. I don't know because
I think they beat him this year. They'll get
I
5.
just thought, because to be honest with you, bro, as much as he is my guy, Kawhi's going to need some help. I just don't know if Paul George is the answer. I just don't know if that's the answer. So with that being said, I don't know if they get past the Lakers. And look, next year's going to be a steep hill because the Golden State Warriors get Klay Thompson back. I was about to gush on Steph Curry on our outro, but yeah, so it's going to be a lot of stuff changing here. But yeah, I think LeBron gets there, and I think if he gets there, bro, you can never count him out. But damn, Brooklyn is strong. Brooklyn is strong.
He'll get 5. Is 5 good enough to put him in the conversation with Jordan?
He's already in the conversation. I know.
I mean, legitimately in the conversation with Jordan.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's legitimately in the conversation now, especially for the younger kids. He's never going to be my GOAT. But
is
he's definitely there, bro.
Is he the GOAT of his generation?
Yeah.
I mean, because people, when I say he would be the GOAT of 2 generations, they get upset and they say, well, why wouldn't he be the GOAT of all time? You can't take this from me mentally. And I don't like his politics off the court. Bill Russell was key in all 11 championships that he has. He was the only man to nullify Wilt Chamberlain. And people are like, how did he do that? He played smart. He played physical, but he back off and he was able to judge rebounds. That was he was Rodman before Rodman. Bill would go get him. So he found out what the team needed and he made his strength what they needed. And I mean, I still say you can't take Bill out of the conversation of being a GOAT. And people say, well, he didn't play with the same players Michael played with. So you can't be great unless you come through a certain era. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, that's ludicrous. And we know that's just not true. Flat out not true.
So,
but yeah, Steph Curry, man, the last 8 games, 38.9 points per game, 53 3-pointers made, and 49% from 3-point range, the greatest shooter we've ever seen, bro.
Listen,
it's just regular now. We don't even get excited about it anymore, but it's crazy what he's doing with a basketball.
I owe you an apology. And, you might want to write this day down and take this broadcast down so you can go back to it. But you said this a couple of weeks ago, and I tried to play devil's advocate about Steph Curry. No, I will not anymore. Whether he wins another championship or not, I got to look at it for what it is. Steph Curry revolutionized the game in his own way. I heard Kendrick Perkins talk about he coaches his children's AAU team, and you got kids now who are regularly hitting shots now from the paint. And I'm not talking about inside the paint. I'm talking about in the middle of the floor, because they're not afraid to put shots up anymore. Like if they brought the playground to the court. They don't always go in, but they're going in from a high percentage. And he was saying he attributes that to Steph Curry. A lot of NBA players said, listen, we weren't allowed to shoot from out there. Our coaches wouldn't allow. And you're talking about great players like, the time when Worthy was playing and, players like Reggie Miller. And, and you're like, so the coaches wouldn't let them take shots from out there. But Steph was like, look, this is what I can do. And he started knocking them down. When I got into watching college basketball, I'll make this quick. It was around 1980. When did North Carolina State win it? 1983?
Ooh, yeah. Valvano, right? Yeah. Somewhere like that. Yeah.
There was another kid they were spotlighting, and I can never remember his name, but he was a 7-foot supposedly center, but he could hit from 3-point range. But when I saw the kid play in a game, in practice, he would hit from 3-point all day long. But they always put him down in the paint. And he was thin. He was 7 feet, but he wasn't like Patrick. He was thin. And he just wasn't as effective. And when I thought about you talking about Steph Curry, I'm like, if this guy had the ability that, is to play like a Kevin Durant played at Texas, I think we'd be looking at a different NBA right now. Back in '83, when '83 was, I think, his sophomore or junior year, but he never really materialized into a big name because his height made him have to play out of position.
That definitely sounds like a true story, bro. I can definitely see that happening. But yeah, man, look, just to sum it all up, bro, to me, Steph Curry did something kind of like what we were talking about Kyle Pitts. Like you just said, revolutionized the game. But, bro, Steph Curry made young suburban black kids want to be basketball players, bro. And when I say suburban black kids, I mean privileged, like my nephews, right? My nephews live in a very well-to-do neighborhood in North Carolina, bro. Silver spoon kids, right? But boy, they love basketball, and they love it because they're not going to be the biggest or fastest, but bro, if Steph Curry dribbles a basketball, he's not physically imposing. He's not super fast, super strong. He just tries really hard all the time and puts a lot of work in. Bro, he's inspired kids around the world, but definitely for those suburban black kids that didn't grow up in the hood and don't have the certain appeal of look, you're looking at Steph Curry, no tattoos, come on, man. Or if he may have some, but they're hidden. Bro, this is good. This is good for the NBA.
I like it. 6'3", 175.
Soaking wet.
So with his jersey and cleats on after practice, yeah. So yeah, but he can play.
He can ball.
Yeah,
there's you've ever seen, bro. We passed up against it, bro. What you got?
Nothing. I'm good. I want to give a shout out. My Audrey Brown is going back into surgery today. Please pray for her. This will be the second surgery, I think, this week. Pray for Miss Darlene. She's still healing from her surgery about a week or two ago.
Darlene, what up?
And for my mom, the Queen Mother, celebrating her. She at the time where she was wanting to ride off in the sunset, somebody took a chance. Somebody actually saw her qualities and gave her a job. So her first day of training is today. So that's why she's not on with us. So I'm happy for her, man. It's temp, but it's good money, and she's not looking to work full time. But it's awesome. Full time hours for like the next 6 weeks. So she's happy about it. And age discrimination is real. It is real. And my mom is she's got her Phi Beta Alpha key. Went back to school later in life and achieved the Phi Beta Alpha key. This woman is brilliant, and people look at the age of people like her and they're like, she will outwork you, bro. That's what I keep trying to, she outworks anybody they put against her, whether it's outside or inside. She just came from that generation, and you're missing out on people when you just look at their age and you don't get to know them. So shout out to everybody, Fight to Share Nation. Turn over to my brother. See you guys on Sunday.
Indeed, bro. Hey, his mom is a lovely lady indeed. But yeah, man, happy anniversary to Jackie Robinson. 74 years ago today, he broke the color barrier. Some say it wasn't the first, but that's what they give him credit for. Happy birthday, Arturo Thunder Gotti, one of the best wars ever. Player goes. Yeah, been going for a while, man. Rest in heaven to him. Hey, for the first time ever, we got two Americans in the Premier Champions League. Christian Pulisic playing for Chelsea, and Zach Steffen playing for Manchester City. Bro, this is a good day. Americans on the big stage in soccer. We may be on to something, bro. In the meantime, we'll catch up with Fight Extra Nation later. We love y'all. Spread the love is crazy out there. Have a great weekend. We'll catch up with y'all on Sunday on the More Refined Show. I can give y'all some real game about what we saw on Saturday. We out here, man.
But you didn't mention Matthew McConaughey owning Austin FC, the new American soccer team, and they debut this Saturday.
Hey, man, shouts out to all new owners out there, including J Lo and Alex Rodriguez, Minnesota Timberwolves. You got to start somewhere, man. We'll see y'all Sunday. Peace.
Wow.